Welcome. So this is an overview for the 21-day quantum body reset. I just wanted to give an overview. So when you go into the portal, after you sign up and you get into the portal where the classes will be, after we do classes, they will be uploaded into the portal. But there's also some other classes on hormones, on sleep, on nervous system, on sound healing, on just guided meditations. And there might be others as we go, as we come into the awareness of what is needed to support our bodies. So we often, right, culturally, we tend to think of healthy bodies as, right, that strong is muscle and that healthy is thin. And so what we as healers or in different body-oriented fields of healing look for are slightly different than muscle tone and thinness, right? Especially if there are symptoms, because symptoms usually point to that the body is out of balance, right? Whether the symptom is right, hormone symptoms, which could be anything from not sleeping well to gaining weight to memory issues to eyesight issues to bone density issues, right? That those are all beneath the surface. We can't see them, so we don't often know what's happening. But the symptoms are anything that feels uncomfortable or obvious, or something that doesn't feel right or feels very different than from when you were younger, even just your ability to move, is a symptom of something being out of balance. And so the four components of healing that we look for, especially when we're focusing on the body, when we're body-centered as opposed to psychiatry, which is more thought-centered, right? We focus on biomechanical, biochemical, fascial, emotional, and I'm going to add spiritual. And I have notes, so if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at notes. So biomechanical, right? That's right, bones, ligaments, tendons, muscles, fascial networks, but mostly the mechanics of how we move, how well we're moving. So we have a frozen shoulder or a hip that isn't working well, there's a lot of pain, or right, pain can be a symptom, limited movement can be a symptom, lack of mobility, or just stiff and achy, and the mechanics, right, that we are designed to move. Humans are designed to move. Like any other mammal, we are meant to move. And so that movement is also part of our communication, right? That our movement is part of our innervation, right? Muscles are connected to tendons and ligaments and bones, but they're also connected to nerves. So that impetus, that whole system-wide communication system is part of our mechanics. So we think of the brain as an end organ, right? That things don't necessarily originate in the brain, right? All of our senses, we have more, right? If we think of all of our senses and sensory tissue that brings information into the brain, and sometimes not always all the way to the brain. And there's response. We have much more information coming in than going out. It's also part of our cardiovascular system, that movement is part of our circulation, that we are dependent upon movement to bring the blood back to the heart and to allow, right, a healthy tissue allows blood into the small tissues, the capillary beds, the places where the blood actually moves in to the cell. And that's from movement. Things that are dense or weak, there isn't as much circulation in those areas. Also lymphatic movement, right? Our immune system. So our immune system is completely dependent on movement to circulate our defense system, right? Our team players that support our immune system to function properly. So, right, all of these signs or symptoms that correspond to that can relate to lack of movement. Even, right, movement reinforcing a healthy nervous system, right? That movement is also, right, related to our mental state, our balance. Okay, so next one, biochemical, and that is more, I would say, nervous system, hormonal system, blood chemistry, blood sugar. It's all the systems of the body, right? The organ systems of the body, brain and nervous system, right? Brain, spinal cord, spinal nerves. I mean, the heart does communicate through biochemistry, biochemical neurotransmitters. The heart communicates in many different ways. And there's more neurotransmitters moving to the brain from the heart than from the brain to the heart. Right? The heart has quite a bit of intelligence, as does the GI tract, right? That the GI tract, the enteric nervous system within the GI tract has as much innervation as the spinal cord. Highly sensitive, highly innervated, often referred to as our second brain. But there's also neurotransmitters involved in that, hormones involved in that. And so there is quite a bit of intelligence in our system. And the symptoms of that, there are many, many, many symptoms of hormonal imbalance and blood sugar imbalance, lethargy, not just the symptoms where things are really out of balance when we hit diabetes, but other symptoms, even weight gain around the midsection, fatigue can be related to blood sugar, insulin imbalances, right, which is a hormone, and cortisol imbalances. So those are big. Biochemical is a huge area, right? And we tend to think of, again, they're slightly kind of unseen below the surface. We tend to think of them as normal aging processes when they're often really just an imbalance, right? That the symptoms are really the body's way of showing an imbalance, and also a way of getting our attention to attend to the imbalance or slow us down so that we attend to the imbalance. Cellular health, DNA, genes, genetic, all connected to biochemical, even our stem cell differentiation. Okay, fascial, right? This our connective tissue matrix, bones, ligaments, tendons, blood, arteries, veins, right? Even nerves are wrapped in fascia. So if we think of and muscle, so every muscle fiber is wrapped in fascia, every spindle or smaller groups. And then we have the big muscle groups or the muscle, and then maybe 4 muscles or 5 muscles in a fascia layer. Think of an orange, the outer rind of the orange, and then all the white that you see in, right, in each section, in between and around each little drop of orange, right? That if we think of the white as fascia, right, it's the holder, the container, right? That it's all over our body, from the exoskeleton of our cells, right, to our, right, the container around the muscles, and containers around the heart and the lungs and each organ, the connection to ligaments, organ to organ, organ to spine, right? That the fascial system is everywhere. It's our, right? It's our containing matrix, connective tissue matrix, which is also highly innervated and quite intelligent and responsive to our environment, externally, internally. Container of our organs, very, very intelligent system, but is also impacted by surgeries, injuries, even, right, like whiplashes, car accidents, being thrown from something, amusement park rides, roller coasters, spinning machines, that they all have an impact on that system. And then the emotional, right? The emotional component of our physicality, right? That we often, and it's an interesting way to think of that, we hold, right? Because our emotions are very connected to our nervous system, very connected to our neurotransmitters. Even just our physicality, sometimes we have a very visceral response to somebody and we don't know why. It just happens in the body. We pull away or we lean into and we don't know why. Right? Connected to trauma, whether physical or emotional. Whether, and I would also combine mental with emotional, right? Because the feelings and then the beliefs, right? They have this interesting way of interacting. Mental and emotional can be collective, right? Collective trauma. It can be family beliefs or family trauma, cultural trauma, generational trauma, collective beliefs, right? Old, present, or generational, right? There's this, one of my teachers loves to tell the story. She said, the way she says it is very telling. She says, when my grandmother was pregnant with my mother, when my mother was about 5 months old in utero, inside of her belly, she started to make her eggs. That was the time that she built the eggs. Her system created her eggs. So these eggs, us, right, the formation of us, the beginning of us, is being created by our mother's body when our mother's body is in her mother's body, right? So there's 3 generations that are experiencing the same quality of life at the same time. So grandma's anxious or in a very challenging situation or afraid, insecure about having a child, circumstances, her own history, right? That it impacts that vibration, or that you could even think specifically of just anxiety, that level of anxiety being passed to the child, being passed to the egg. So it's just this really interesting, right? The threads of emotion that weave through us, emotion and beliefs. And then the last one I would say is spiritual. And I like one of the most tangible examples I have is the chakra system, the seven energy centers in the body, right? That we mostly agree on those. There are some have found more in the body, which I can also relate to, but I think that those are most well known, right? So the first 3, first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, are really connected to our physical experience, right? Our physical, emotional, mental experience in this human form. And the heart becomes more relational to ourselves, to others outside of us, and to nature, to a sense of spirit or something beyond us. maybe even things that we can't see. It's that bridge towards moving out of our I-ness, our me-ness, right into this sense of our higher self, or our connection to the source of all life force energy, whatever you want to call it, God, spirit, the source that holds everything, right? That is, it comes, or is it expressed in our essence as us, right? This expression, this connection or vision or intuition or connection to everything. These more kind of outwardly or multi-layered awareness of ourselves comes into play, which also has an impact on our body, which also has an impact on the challenges of being in a human body. For some of us love being fully anchored here and playing in this playground of human experience, and others of us have a harder time, right? And that impacts our body, right? Some of our symptoms can be about that, the questioning or the interface between this human experience and a different awareness or seeking of awareness or conflict in awareness of this other experience. So that was a lot. But I just want to throw that out there. And that's why those other little trainings are there, just to help us start to see the body in different ways, right? The spiritual is more the energy awareness, the energetic field, right? We can, right, the different systems, right? The chakra system, the meridian system in traditional Chinese medicine, the auric fields connected to the chakras. And if there's another that you connect to, you can share it. So again, just seeing how multi-layered we are, that sometimes our symptoms, they're just something to catch our attention and inquire. And these are places that we start to inquire. And then we go deeper. And part of the movement is really to build our conversation with our body, with what's happening, to build our sensitivity and our awareness so that we can have a conversation with our body, with our experience, and get more information, get more guidance from our own body as to the direction, as to what we may be depleted in or needing or need to look at in order to find balance in ourselves. I also want to acknowledge that doing this work can build sensitivity. And if we have been not wanting sensitivity, if we have been, and I know I was one, like I had a hard time being in this body, and I liked stuff that checked me out when I was younger. And so checking in isn't always comfortable. And so I want to honor that process of becoming more present in your body and what it may bring up emotionally, beliefs, resistance, checking out, not wanting to sleep, wanting to be distracted. But just honor and be gentle and loving and kind with yourself, and knowing that you're touching an edge. You're touching an edge of something that may have not been looked at in a soft way before and allowed to open and blossom. Okay, so if you have any other questions or you would like to share your experience or have a conversation with me about this, I would love to have that with you. And I look forward to the rest of our time. And if there's something that I haven't covered that you would like more information on, I don't remember if I put the nervous system training in there. It's very complex. It's not. It really is. And again, I tried to make these really simple So I didn't want to overwhelm anybody. If you want more information or more complexity, right, even the relationships, right, like our sleeping patterns, how connected they are to our hormonal patterns and how connected they are to our emotional patterns. All right, thank you. Have a good night.